I grew up, my father was a devout atheist, militant atheist. My mother was not interested in Judaism very much, but, both are Jewish. And it seems to me, and Dawkins has said things like, no one's born a Christian child, fine. But if you never expose a child to this, it seems to be a type of language that you'll never develop, just the same way we teach our children music at an early age because we know they're going to appreciate it later in life. We teach them languages. It's much easier to apprehend it when you're young, and so too in meditation. But I wonder why not, extend that same courtesy or whatever to at least religious education. And I'll have a follow-up, but I wonder how you react to it because I know, your feelings on religion, especially Christianity and Islam, are well known. But is there a downside to at least exposing children to religion as a child, just like we expose them to music and language, which they also don't like? I mean, what kid says, I really want to sit down and do scales for 3 hours?
Well, I think we should teach religion, but we should teach many of them. We can't teach all of them. Obviously, there have been, hundreds and thousands, but we should teach them. But there's teaching more than one is pretty seditious, right? Because they're mutually canceling, right? So if you teach
Right.
Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Hinduism and Buddhism, just start with those. Any sane child, a neurologically intact child, will realize at some point that they can't all be right, And if this is a multiple choice exam, whatever you pick, if you pick one, you stand a very good chance of being wrong. In fact, you'd have to bet that if the religion you're going to say is true is A, and there are 5 choices, you stand a very good chance of being wrong, and that the most rational choice is almost certainly none of the above. When you look at the details and you look at the cultural contingencies and historical contingencies that brought any given community into the embrace of any one of those faiths, and with the assurance that it was perfectly true in all its particulars. And I don't think you need, agnosticism is fine, but you're not agnostic with respect to the existence of Zeus or Poseidon or Isis or Thor or any of the other dead gods that nobody cares about now, right? So
Yeah, that's why I said practicing. In other words, I keep kosher. I don't work on the Sabbath and Saturdays. I don't, I learn the Torah, the Talmud. Because what does it mean to be agnostic if you also don't do all these things that atheists don't do? In other words, yes, I'm not going to be able to do everything, and neither is a Christian, neither is an atheist. And there are, so here in San Diego, we have the Sunday Assembly. I think they have one up there. It seems like there's a lot of religious things that are parroted or the community, and there are obvious benefits to religion. I mean, I don't think you have to deny that. But the question is there harm? Whereas I do think it is harmful. I don't know how to say it, but I think it's almost harmful. The only instrument I can play is Spotify. I kind of, resent my parents for not really causing me to get into this. My brother is a great guitarist, and he also just thinks differently. His mind is wired differently than mine to appreciate music in a way classical jazz I'll never appreciate.
Right.
I view that as a lacuna in my intellectual development. And I do believe that, and I had this debate with Lawrence Krauss, I'm sure you know about him. We debated this because I find a lot of the atheists, and I'm not including you, but a lot of the atheists are very sophistic. And I asked Lawrence, when did you stop practicing Judaism? And he said, well, I had my bar mitzvah, and there were some shameful things the rabbi said, and they didn't let girls sit with boys, whatever. I said, okay, Lawrence, that's great. So you let a 13-year-old boy influence the rest of your life and color the way that you think about everybody, such that you call anybody who believes it, believer in fairy tales and supernatural shenanigans. But Lawrence, let me ask you a question. If somebody came upon your book, A Universe from Nothing, and just attacked it, and then you didn't know who it was, they were just typing into a terminal, and then you asked them, well, by the way, how old are you? And they said 13. Would you have any, credence in what they're saying? And would you continue the conversation? He said, absolutely not. Like some little pisha, what do you know? But I'm like, Lawrence, you're doing the same thing. You allowed your, distaste and negative experience. I'm not denying his lived experience, as I say, but you let that influence the rest of your life and your children because you didn't teach it to your children either. So anyway, I do believe you can do, I don't want to say harm because I don't think everybody should be religious at all. I don't believe that. But by not exposing everybody or children to you are exposing them to something else, which is the denial of religion, I think.
Well, so
anyway,
so
you don't have to.
Again, there's an assumption here that I would take issue with. I mean, atheism does not require that one pretend to know that the universe isn't far more mysterious and stranger than we currently know. In fact, I'm sure it's far more mysterious and stranger than we currently know, right? I mean, you know, there's more in heaven and earth than is dreamt of in our philosophy, I have no doubt. But one thing I also have no doubt about is that the books, the Bible and the Quran in particular, show no sign of having been authored by an omniscient being, right? And that's the only thing you need to be an atheist with respect to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, because each of these traditions rests on a claim about a specific text or set of texts. And these claims are obviously indefensible, as much as we've defended them for, many people have defended them for thousands of years.
Sorry, Sam. Do you mean the whole purchase of?
Well, no,
let's just stick to the Torah.
Just take this one piece on board. I've never heard anyone give a satisfactory answer to this, and this really is the basis of my doubt in these three faiths. Because each of these faiths rests on the claim that their core books are not just books written by people, but at minimum have been divinely inspired, if not actually divinely, directly dictated by the Creator. When you think about how good a book could be if it were written by an omniscient being, I mean, just think. I mean, it wouldn't. You don't even have to pretend omniscience. You and I could write a page of text right now. It would take us no more than 15 minutes. Really, this is not an exaggeration. Which, if this page were in the Bible or the Quran, it would prove beyond any possibility of doubt that no human being of that period could have written those books. It would prove the supernatural origin of the books. Trivially easy to do that. We could write about, we just could some very condensed paragraphs that point to truths of mathematics that we understand now but were not understood then. We could talk about, information in a sophisticated way that gave the basis of computation, et cetera, right? So the fact that there's nothing like that in these books.
I actually don't believe that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
there's nothing. But there's nothing like that is incontestable, right? If you're going to go to some weird Bible code and look at the Hebrew without the vowels or whatever, okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. But there should be a compassionate God would have written a book like that, right? Okay, and not spent so much time telling us how we should murder our neighbors for thought crimes or keep slaves, right? It would have gotten slavery. This moral genius that wrote these books would have anticipated that we were smart enough at that point to recognize that slavery was not the greatest thing.